Hi friends, welcome back. For my first project in today's video, we are going to do some Patriotic upcycles. And I bought this at Goodwill for $3.99. It is a sign of sorts. I will have to put a hanger on it. But I have this amazing eagle decoupage paper that I am going to put on this sign. I can't remember exactly where I got it. I'll have to do a little research and find out. But anywho, so that is the plan for this this wood sign. So let's get it opened up. Get all this paper off. All right, so originally I thought I would paint these two end pieces, but the more I'm looking at it, I love knotty pine. The more I'm looking at it, the more I'm feeling like I may just put some dark wax on here instead, so it's a more natural rustic look. Let's see how this will look with just the dark wax. Now, if I want it darker, I could put another coat on and let it sit. But let me just see. Yeah, I like that. I definitely like that. So I'm going to do the other end, and then we'll come back and start decoupaging on our beautiful eagle. All right. The only thing I'm not liking is that I have two different colors here. This has more of a reddish tone than this down here. But I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to go with it, and I'm just going to leave it as it is. All right. Let me take out my decoupage paper. So I want to get as much of the eagle in here as I can. And I'm going to crease where I need to cut. And actually, I don't know, I'm going to try it. I'm going to take my sharp utility knife and see if I can cut this that way instead of with scissors. Perfect. I am going to put molds on here. I was thinking I could put a mold going down the side. So really, I don't have to cut that off. I could just leave that on there. I'm going to use my pink Couture Decoupage Medium in Matte for this project. If I can get it open. That is always the struggle, getting the jars open. All right, let me grab a brush here. And I'm just going to start and do a starter strip. Gonna mist my paper. It helps the fibers to relax, and you get less wrinkles that way. I need to get out my saran wrap is what I need to do. Whoops. All right, now we are just going to cover the entire piece. All right, now we shall let this dry. While it's drying, we will go to making the molds for this project. All right, so the mold I am going to use is Iron Orchid Designs. It's called Classic Elements. Whoops, see if you could see that. Come on, focus. Classic Elements. I am going to be molding 2 of this design here. And I'm going to be using my Jovi air dry clay and some cornstarch. You always dust your mold with cornstarch because it helps the clay to release much easier. You don't have to fight with it to get it out. Just going to work it for a minute. And then I kind of just like roll it into a sausage shape and work my way around the mold. So I start like down here and then go up. Okay, and then I like to roll over it with my brayer to make sure that it gets all down in there and gets all of those details. Then I take my straight edge that I used to use for my polymer clay, and I just slice off the excess clay. Now, I know there's a micro rim on here, but I prefer to do it this way. It's easier for me, but you do you. You do you. Whatever is easier for you, that's what you do. Is turn it over and roll my mold and let gravity do its work. And there you have a beautiful casting. Now these are delicate. I just kind of like pick it up like this. But there is your casting. So I'm going to mold 1 more of this one, and then we'll come back. Guys, I have this piece of plastic, and what I'm going to do is I am going to try and get this lifted up, and I'm going to carefully turn it over onto my plastic so I can put the glue. And I use Titebond Quick and Thick. That is my glue of choice. It's a fabulous glue. I get it on Amazon. And I will leave a link for that in the description box as well. And I'm just going to apply it with a paintbrush. Making sure to get to all the edges with the glue. That's very important. Now, this is a very delicate mold. So I'm trying to be very careful spreading out the glue because I don't want to break anything. And I am going to try and center this. Yep, see, I cracked it, but it'll be fine. I can always add a little bit of water. Let me just look at this again very quickly. Very gently, you want to tap this down and make sure that everything is adhered. And then I am going to take a dry paintbrush and I'm going to go and get all of this excess glue out. I just wipe it on like a piece of paper. All right, and now for the sides here, I am going to use the IOD Trimmings Mold 2, and I am going to cast this rope type of a trim. So I will probably need about 4 of those. So I am going to cast those with my air dry clay and get them glued on. Okay, guys, I have all of my molds on here. Love the way it looks. I need to paint my molds. All right, my friends, all of my molds have dried overnight and there is some cracking, but I don't care about the cracking. I'm looking for an old vintage look. So the cracks are very much welcome at this point. And now what I'm going to do to finish up this project is I am going to paint my molds gold, and I am using Folk Art Pure Gold Metallic Paint, and it will take a couple of coats on these molds. Normally I paint my molds before I put them on my project, but on this occasion I did not. So now I have to be very careful, you know, not to get it on my wood. So, that's the reason I like to paint my molds before I add them to my project. If the mold is going to be the same color as the rest of my project, then I don't care. Because you don't have to be careful when you're painting it. So, I will continue to get all of my molds painted with 2 coats, and then this project is going to be complete. All right, my friends, this is our next project. I purchased a whole bunch of wood pillar candle holders at Salvation Army, and this is the only one I have left. And I decided to do a patriotic candlestick. So get ready to get your patriotic on. All right. So as you could see, the person painted this a gray color and then silver, metallic silver. So my intentions are red, white, and blue. And I'm going to be using Rust-Oleum's chalked paint in the color Farmhouse Red. I'm going to be using Apple Barrel paint, acrylic paint in the color True Navy. And Pink Couture mineral paint in the color Pacific Pearl. I did not have any navy chalk paint. So we're going to go with the acrylic paint. Okay, I got it. Red, blue, and white on the top and the bottom. Okay. So I guess I will start with my white paint first. I'm going to shake it up well because it does have, you know, your top coat and primer in there. So we want to make sure it's shaken up well. Okay. Now I always try to use the paint off of the cap first. So I'm going to start down here on this silver and get this painted up. I know this is probably going to take like I know at least 2 coats. So I am prepared for that. This is a hard video to film because this is so tall, so I have to just do it in sections. I'll just show you a little bit of the painting, and then I will speed it up because everybody knows how to paint for the most part. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. Not everyone is good at painting or crafting, so I should not assume that. But it's just want to try to put on an even coat. Making sure to cover your area well, but you don't want it to be like globby. I know I missed some over here. All right, so there is the bottom. All right, so far I have 2 coats of white on the top and the base. I have 1 coat of red here. Now, what I've decided to do is this area here, I'm going to paint gold. And this area down here, I'm going to paint gold. And then this and this will be blue. So I'm going to do the blue. And as I said, I'm not going to show every bit of painting, but just so you guys get an idea of where I'm going with this. And as I said, this is a very tall pillar candle holder, so it's kind of hard to show you. You know, it's hard to work with. All right, guys, this is what I have ended up with. I'm very pleased how this turned out. This, I don't have to seal because it has a sealer built in, but I am going to have to seal my red paint and my blue. And then I'm also going to add some dark wax to the entire thing to tone it down just a bit. And I'm going to add a couple of these rusty stars. So let's finish up this project. All right, guys. So let's start out with my clear wax. And I am going to apply a nice coat, a nice even coat all over. I'm just going to do the gold as well. Why not? You know, I'm doing everything else. I might as well do that too. Okay, so I have everything done with my clear wax. And now I'm going to pull out my dark wax brush. And we're going to add our dark wax to the entire piece. So I'm going to start up here and work my way down. I didn't even wipe back the clear wax yet. I'm just going to do it all at once. All right, guys, I have all of my wax on, and now I am going to wipe it back. It just tones everything down, so it's not so bright. And while my wax is wet is when I will go in with my Decrepit dust into all of the nooks and crannies. So while this is wet, I'm going to grab my Decrepit dust. This is made by DIY. And I'm going to take a small brush and hit all of the creases like this. And a little of this stuff goes a very long way. I usually will tap off the brush because it really does go a long way. And then I'll come back and wipe off the excess. How great that looks. Oh, I love it. Let me turn it this way. All right, and then I'm going to wipe back the excess wax as well. And this project will be complete. And I am quite happy with it. All right, all that's left to do is to glue on my star. So I am going to use my Star Bond glue with the accelerator. And I am just going to put some glue on the back of my star. And then I'm going to spray the accelerator. And then I'm going to hopefully get this centered. Okay, guys, for this last project, we are going to make some firecrackers. So I had these pieces of wood out in my garage, and I cut them in sort of a graduated size. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to go on the top, and I am going to mark a line from point to point. This is going to be kind of hard to do like this, but we'll see if I can get it. So I can mark the center. It's close. Now I'm going to take my drill and I'm going to drill a hole in the center of each one of these for the wick. So let's see here. Oh, look at that. I can't even get the drill to stay in the center. My gosh. All right, guys. Unfortunately, I thought I hit the record button when I was working on this firecracker, but I did not. But all I did is I took my painter's tape and I took a strip and I placed it here, and I did the same thing on all 4 sides with my tape. And then I took my red paint and a makeup applicator, and I painted outside of where my paint strip was. And that's how I got the white and the red stripes. So now for the blue one, I am going to do some stars on here. And I purchased these stencils on Amazon. And I'm just going to do this size here. So I'm just going to pick spots, and I'm just going to start. I have a makeup applicator, and I'm dipping it in my paint and then offloading most of it. And then I'm going to come here, trying to hold this down. See, it's hard because I'm on the edge. I don't want it to lift up when I'm putting my paint in on there, but it's kind of hard. I don't want to get bleed through. And I'm just going to go like, I'll do like a half of a star here. Like that. Making a mess on here with my applicator. And then I'll come over here and do another one at the bottom. Notice I haven't re-dipped my sponge in the paint. Okay. Then I'll probably come on the other side and do, I don't want to touch where my paint is wet. Trying not to. Do part of one there, like that. And I'm just going to continue to go around the whole firecracker. And just keep stenciling. All right, I've got all my stars on this one. So I'm going to set that aside to dry. And so on this one, I'm going to put the word boom. And I'm going to use my IOD stamp set. It's called Letterpress. And I am going to, of course, I've only got one O, so I have to make sure that I account for that when I line these up on my thin mount. Just make sure they're straight. I hope these are going to stick on here. Let's see. Yeah, that's going to be perfect. Okay. And I'm going to just do it on, I'll do it on all 4 sides. B, M, and O. All right, now I got to do one more O. Let me take the B and the M off. Look at that. Okay, guys, so this is what we have here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the wicks in. Then I want to distress these, but the key here is you have to seal all of your paint before you distress. If you don't, you will smear your red paint into your white, your blue paint into your red, and your black paint on or ink onto your red. So it's very important to put at least 2 coats of a clear matte sealer on these before you do your distressing. So in the meantime, before I do that, I just have some jute string here, and this is what I'm going to use for my wicks in these firecrackers. There's 1, 2, and 3. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the end of my, whoops, that's a lot of glue, but that's all right. And I am going to push it down, and I'm going to twist it in the opposite direction of the way it is twisted. The twine is twisted. I will have to, and then I'm going to fray these ends. Like that. So there's 1. All right, so I took these outside, and as soon as I hit them with the sandpaper, I had red going into the white, and that's because I forgot that the last time I used the 220 grit sandpaper, I sanded something red. So I just came inside and I repainted the white on this one, and then just used sandpaper by hand and did the rest. I didn't overly distress them, just a little bit, like on the corners and stuff. So these are pretty much complete unless I decide to add anything else to these.